Welcome back to tonight's Big Picture. This evening, we are taking a look at Facebook and the data crisis it's battling. That's after revelations that data from millions of its users were allegedly being harvested for political reasons. But how did things take such a difficult turn for Facebook? Earlier, my colleague Ana Maria Montero spoke with futurist and author of Technology versus Humanity, Gerd Leonhard, and he gave us his take on where tech giants like Facebook are at risk of going wrong.
You know, Facebook was kind of magical initially, right? And then it became kind of manic. You know, we had to do it, and now it's toxic.
Everybody was
now
on
it's
Facebook.
Toxic, you know?
Right, yeah.
It's poisoned.
Now you feel like it's gone into toxic.
Absolutely, because you know, basically, when Facebook went on the stock market, it was vastly successful. Money kept pouring in. Right. Facebook has, I don't know, some 80% of digital advertising is owned by Facebook and Google, and now it's like subject to the rules of making money, and I think Zuckerberg wants it to be different, and he has kind of created a monster. But Facebook is based on exploiting and using and passing out our data. You know, we are the content of Facebook. If they take that out, then Facebook is dead.
Wow, you mentioned that Facebook has become a bit of a monster. I mean, now that we have this whole bad label, right? Which is, for those people watching that may not know, they're described as, Facebook and other social media giants are described as big, anti-competitive, addictive, destructive to democracy. I mean, that's a pretty huge
a quick shift.
Accusation, no? Yeah, and a quick shift from magical to bad.
Some people call that the sin industries, you know, where you create a sin against, like drugs, you know. Is
this misguided? Is this techlash a little over the top, or do you think it's legitimate?
I think it is a little bit over the top, considering that they may have a chance to improve. But the underlying theme is correct. You know, advertising is at the crux of this. You know, we get the data, we sell the data, we have advertising. You know, that's how we make money. And the lack of responsibility of Silicon Valley companies to understand the rest of the world, that's also true. Personally, I think Zuckerberg wants it to be different. Can he? I doubt it. I think it's kind of a pleasure trap. You know, it's kind of like Facebook has become this thing. And you said that before they were really focused on the investors initially, and the return for them. Do you think that's still maybe part of the trap? You saw it when they said that they're going to change the news feed. Yeah. The stock went down, and Zuckerberg lost like $4 billion in a day. Yeah. You know, and so I think this sort of Faustian bargain between us and Facebook, when you unlock that, then the whole reason of Facebook kind of evaporates. Right. And now they're using AI to figure out who we are. That's even worse. So. Well, that's taking it to a whole new level. But you do still get stuff from Facebook. I mean, you still get something out of it, right? It's not all bad. Well, like technology is morally neutral until we use it, right? Facebook has many good things, many bad things. It's not little black or white. I think they still have a good way of changing that. I would agree. If they really try, they can change it. But, you know, the stock market is pretty unforgiving. You know, you do whatever makes money. And that is a very bad idea for social media because, you know, they have responsibility and they really haven't what I call digital ethics. They haven't actually gone out and said that ethically speaking, we shouldn't be doing it, even though it could make money. Right. Well, what would you suggest? How should this problem be addressed? Well, I think Facebook, that is quite obvious, taking responsibility for being a media company. They are a media company with 2 billion users, right? So let's say, yes, we're a media company, we are responsible, we're going to do some human filtering, we're going to do what journalists do, what regular media does, we're going to pass out the money, we're going to share the money, we're going to change our way of advertising, we're going to give the users more rights, you know, just stand up to what you are, and then people would return the favor, I'm sure. And this is, you're talking about you're talking about Facebook, but if you look at it from the perspective of regulation, do you think it just needs more outside regulation? And if so, how and who should be responsible? Well, it's quite clear, as I like to say, data is the new oil, you know. Data is the richest company of the world deal with data. Right? And now we have regulated oil forever. Imagine if we hadn't, right? Yeah. And now we have to regulate these guys because they are like oil, you know. And they make so much money, it's irresistible not to do that. Right? So the companies that deal with our data, and that data is going to grow exponentially, they have to become responsible, accountable, ethical, and they have to do more than make money. Otherwise, I think we need to pull their license. You know, their license to do business is in danger.
But who should be responsible for making those calls? Do you think government?
It is a combination of things. I think the smart thing with those companies would be to say, yes, we are responsible for what happens as our externalities of our business, privacy and those kind of things, and stand up for it and actually put real money in it. Right? And, of course, governments are going to be, especially the European Commission, going to be entitled to say, we have to have different standards for these companies because they are like a country. I mean, Facebook is the biggest country in the world, right? So we have to do something. They have to become part of the, overall accountability rules.
And of course, we've seen also the political mood is turning increasingly against these digital giants, again, led by companies like Facebook. We've also got Google, Amazon. What should the tech bosses be doing potentially different to change this image problem?
Well, I think the bottom line is that they're too good for their own standing. They are so powerful, they're smart, they're clever, they take risks, they do all the good things, and then they do them so good that they blow away everybody else, and they become like feudalism, like digital overlords, And I think in their own interest, it would be good to say, yes, we could do this with your data, but we're not going to do it because there's other reasons why that's not human. It's not the right thing to do. Ethics, in the end, is about having the power to do something, but choosing not to do it because it's not the right thing to do. Right? Right. And if they were to do that, I think people would realize that they're not just interested in exploiting what they get from us, but giving something back.
So definitely a love-hate relationship going on there with Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you're alone, it seems. Thank you, Gerd, so much for being with us today on The Big Picture. It was great having you.
Thank you. Thank you.